Hi, Reena Basser. We're on page 25 of the Daf, Cafe, and I'm going to talk about Amud Beit at the bottom, which is a Tosefta, actually, that's quoted here talking about the different oils that can be used for Hadlakot Neirot. And it says here in a Breita that's quoted that Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says that you do not, ein madlikin botzri. And that's quoted, lifted exactly from a Tosefta. And then the Gemara explains why not? Why can't you? And the reason is because it has such a nice odor, this balsamic oil from the balsam tree. And because it's so nice, you may extinguish the flame early. And if you do so, of course, you're going to be over on an Isser, of course, on Shabbat. So they didn't want you to use that, even though it has a beautiful fragrance and it's very famous worldwide. Now, what is this balsam oil anyways? Is it such a thing? Is it really known to be so fragrant? Well, this is a really interesting topic for history because actually we have a lot of information on it. The balsam tree grew in two main grove yards that were cultivated and were protected initially by the Hashmonaim because it was so expensive. And one of them was in En Gedi, and one of them was on the other side of the Yarden in that area. That area, the En Gedi area, is ripe, I guess, for growing these trees, or more like shrubs, actually. Now, what were they? So what they did is they were so precious because of their beautiful odor that they took the sap out from the tree, the way you get sap normally, and they used it as oil and medication. So here's our topic for today: the balsamic, beautiful, fragrant oil. And part of it is very interesting because it was known to the ancient world as something so precious. So Pliny, as I mentioned there, he writes a history called the Natural History. And it's not really a history. It's sort of, he is interested in all the places that Rome has gone and conquered. And one of them happens to be Eretz Yisrael. So Pliny discusses it. And he wants to say that those trees that are so beautiful and fragrant, we're now going to have in Rome. They were new to Rome. We're going to bring them in. We're going to cultivate them. We're going to plant them in these cultivated vineyards and gardens by people like the king, Vespasian, and then following him his son Titus. And we're going to acknowledge how great they are. But Pliny, who writes his natural history of 10 volumes, says, you know what? We Romans, we're better than the Jews. We cultivate them more beautifully. And then what they also did is use them as a spice and as a beautiful sort of fragrance and a perfume, essentially. And there was a a spice market right next to the Temple of Peace by Vespasian, who brought it in a parade, showing all the wonderful things he has lifted or stolen, in another language, from, in this case, Eretz Yisrael. This element of Rome, which was, we're going to go conquer and bring back all these beautiful, natural, trees, and of course they looted the temple, and all these things from that place. So we're kind of giving them a better home. That's how Pliny wanted to put it. And he kind of, he writes in his natural history, it's very odd, that we know how to perfect this balsam tree best. And he writes, but to all other scents that the balsam is perfected. Now, this balsam wood is known to the En Gedi region. There's a shul there that's maybe 1st or 2nd, 3rd century, we're not sure. Anyways, it's an old shul, and there's an inscription on the floor, and they wrote out all kinds of things that would happen, bad outcomes if you did certain things. And one of them was tell the secrets of the town. Nobody knows what the secrets of the town in Engedi are, but most scholars feel that it's the way in which they extracted the balsam sap in a special way, because you couldn't use iron. According to Josephus, you had to use stone. Iron poisoned the sap, and that was like a secret that only certain people knew and certain guilds knew. This balsam was very expensive, and it became adulterated and mixed with other oils, but it's highly, highly, highly prized. And of course, it originated in Arabia, and then Israel it made it kind of famous. And so that's why balsam is mentioned here as something that could be, in this case, not used, but it definitely was an oil.